So in this first video, my goal is to show you where to find the latest information about immigration rules changes or anything that the government announced about immigration procedure, which will include, hopefully sooner than later, an update on the procedure for students to enter. Also, I want to share with you some of the initiatives, some of the most active users on the internet that we can support with our actions, for example, signing a petition or sending emails to decision makers and so on. So let me start with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs webpage in Japanese, because obviously it's where the information goes first. And in case you don't know how to read this page, you can, whenever there is an update, so this hasn't been updated from the 15th of April, but whenever there is an update, you can basically just copy and paste what's written, use Google Translate, and then at least you will have an understanding. Of course, I will do my best to update all of you on this YouTube channel anytime there is a relevant update, even if it's not in this page, it's somewhere else. So if you stick to watch the content on this channel, I will surely make sure that I will give you any relevant update as soon as it comes out. The page has also an English equivalent that they have already opened here, but no, you can also go from here, and that's of course much easier to comprehend for foreigners. However, as you can see, right now the content is the same, but it took about 5 days to get the update in English. So sometimes it took a couple of days, sometimes it took even 4 or 5 days. So this page was updated April 20th, but the content is the same right now. So it took a few days to get into the English version, but at least you can read yourself what's the status right now. So the good news when you read this page is that Japan has put on place measures to let foreigners enter the country. Why this is a good news? Because at least there is a procedure. So you need to do a COVID test 72 hours before taking your plane to arrive in Japan. And then you have to take another test when you arrive and also do a quarantine, depending on the country you come from. The first 3 days should be done to a government designated facility. Most of the countries have to do that, and then for the rest of the 14 days you have to basically have a private accommodation. You cannot use public transportation and so on. It's all written here with details. It is a bit complicated. If you are a Gogonian student, of course, we try to make it simpler for you. We give you just the important point. If you're not a Gogonian student, make sure that the school you're applying give you a full explanation on what is really necessary, because you can really get lost in so much information. It's important that you follow the procedure. That's really important. There is also a pledge that the school will prepare for you that basically says the school is responsible for you to follow the guidelines and so on. This is good because there is something on place, as I was saying. It is bad though, because at the moment international students cannot enter Japan, cannot get a visa from their local embassy or consulate in your country. You cannot get a visa, and you will be rejected if you try to enter Japan, even though you have the valid documentation, even though you follow those quarantine measures. So this is the bad news, but we hope that this will be removed and people can enter following those measures as soon as possible. What happened last year, I know right now there are no updates, so things feel a bit negative, but also I want to remember everyone that last year we were in exactly the same situation from March basically to September 2020. And what happened in September, suddenly, I think it was around the 23rd or the 25th of September, suddenly an announcement was made that from the beginning of October, I remember it was the 3rd, but I could be wrong, but basically a week or 10 days after the announcement, from the 3rd of October, students could enter. So we all really praying and hoping that this decision will be made sooner rather than later. Another website that I suggest you to keep an eye on is the Japan Times. Japan Times is an English written online newspaper, and most of its audience is international, as you can imagine. That means that they update really quickly whenever there is a news related to immigration procedure, or someone in the government says something about international students or workers, they surely give an update pretty timely, I would say. So I suggest you to have a look to this page also on a daily basis to keep you informed. Again, I will make sure that you will get any information on a timely manner as well. I will make a new video when something comes out. Another thing, I will write all these links into the description so you don't have to kind of type out of the video. I'll make it easy for you. So if you go in the description, you can find this link and save in your bookmarks. I suggest you to join Twitter, even though you don't have to, you don't fancy the platform, or you don't want to really write on it. It says here that I joined in October 2009. However, I haven't written any tweet until last month when I started using it. And the reason why I started is because I realized that Twitter is extremely active, especially for news sharing and also activity sharing, in the sense of someone is preparing a petition or someone is calling or is emailing some decision maker. You can really share this information quickly and it can get viral, which is good for us because we want a lot of people to talk about it, and we want this to reach decision makers. Again, we want to put pressure on government to consider the situation of international students, and we don't want them to forget and leave all of you that are waiting to enter Japan in a limbo like you are right now. So I suggest you to join Twitter. You can follow me. I'll try my best to share relevant news and initiatives that I think are real, are valid, and are worth to be shared with people that are following me. I suggest you to follow this user. Here is the username, but I will also put this in the description. It's extremely active. Is helping all day long. Many different initiatives. That's, for example, a letter that they've written to the EU embassy in Japan. They got a reply. You can see the reply here. In this video, I want to just share the information, but basically they acknowledge the situation. And it says here that the EU and its member states stand together in defending the interests and rights of EU citizens in Japan during these trying times, including on issues of humanitarian or family nature. And then it goes on. Please rest assured that I myself, together with the ambassador of EU member states in Japan and all colleagues at the EU delegation and embassies, are determined to pursue this cause at all levels. We shall continue to lobby the Japanese government for an easing of the entry rules based on the reciprocal norms and standards. Patricia Floor. So it's signed by basically by the person in charge at the EU delegation in Japan. And this is also very important because it recognizes, as is written here at the end, that we shall continue to lobby the Japanese government for an easing of the entry rules based on reciprocal norms and standards. Why is it important? Because Japanese students right now can travel pretty much all over the world, because most of the countries all over the world, including Europe, America, Korea, South Korea, very close to Japan, Taiwan, Canada. At the time I'm making this video, today is the 21st of April. At the time of making this video, they are accepting international students with a valid visa. Why? Because they are long-term students. Of course, education is not just tourism. So we're not talking about someone that wants to go and have 5 days of holidays, parties. That of course is not possible during a pandemic. We're talking to people that are going to relocate, to move, stay long term, following all the procedure necessary, all the measures necessary to don't spread the virus coming from a foreign country, doing the quarantine and everything, don't take in private transportation and everything. So that's why foreign countries are accepting international students. However, Japan is not accepting students from the country where Japanese people can go to. So this is not reciprocal, and that's one of the points that we are making, and the international community, international students are making, to pressure and to lobby the government to take some action and to put international students on their agenda. Because what we want to know at the end is how and when we can enter Japan as international students with a valid student visa. We don't really need to enter today necessarily, would be great, but not necessarily today. But we want to know when and what's the plan, what Japanese government is thinking. So that's really an important point. So my suggestion is to follow this account, and they post daily about those type of news. Also, there is one one other, if you're American, Sean here has created this, has shared on Twitter, this letter that is writing to, I think, his local embassy, so the ambassador in US, the Japanese ambassador in US, and it really explains that he was supposed to enter in Japan in October of 2020, but at that time the borders were closed, so he had to reschedule the start for Japanese language school in January 2021. Unfortunately, just a day after Christmas, I, along with every other international student, received the sudden news that Japan was going to close its border again. We did begin the holidays. Every Japanese government office was closed, and we were completely left in the dark with a plethora of unanswered questions. That was a really bad timing for Japan to take the decision, because people were planning to come in January or April, and they just didn't have any time to adjust because it was such a sudden decision. And then here again, it insists, and at the end, it says, as international students, along with other long-term visa holders, we are not tourists. We are people who are committing to studying and living in Japan for a long period of time. Many of us are even planning on finding employment here and residing here in the foreseeable future. Because of this, it is in our interest to follow Japan's customs and rules, including those regarding immigration and COVID-19. Please don't forget about us. This is a letter that he's signing. He's adding some of the student stories that Gogo Nihon has collected in the past days. We received stories from 67 different countries, several hundred students, university students, language students, has written their experience, their situation, their struggle, their pain, how long they've been waiting without any clear plan from Japanese government. And he printed, I think, 6 or 7 of them, and he's going to include in the letter. And it's basically asking to Americans, especially Americans, to join him. So I suggest you to, if you're from the US, to find him and join him in this. It's very important that, again, a lot of us raise the awareness about the situation of international students, because it's something that is not really said enough in Japan. Also, I want to share at the end of this video 2 articles that I have written a few weeks ago that are that have been shared already. But I think more the people they share these, and more awareness we can raise, which is very important right now. One is basically, I wrote this article on LinkedIn, but is public, so everyone with the link in the description can read it. And I want to know what you think about it. So please let me know if that's something that you think alike, or maybe we should address this issue in a different way, or you have any idea, any other petition or any other activity that you have that you're working on, and you want me personally, I will do really as much as I can. I really feel to do as much as I can, but everyone watching this can also be aware of it. So if you have anything like this, any opinion on what we should focus on, any initiative that you are personally working on that you want to share, please let me know, and I will do my best to include in the next videos. But in this specific article, I point the fact that for the Olympics, Japan has announced a few weeks ago that they will let in 200,000 foreigners. Of course, the athletes, we understand, they need to run the Olympics, you need to order others, but also the family of the athletes, the coaches, for a total of 200,000, which is more than the number of international students that have been waiting for over a year. So while they took such a quick decision to let international students in, while even with the state of emergency that there is in Japan, they're still gonna let the Olympic happen, and they're still gonna let the international athletes in. While this is happening, they don't have a plan. They're not talking about international students. So this is something that I think we should really talk about. And that's why I don't want also to write this only in English, because then only the international community, which obviously sympathize for this, knows about it. I want as much as possible to have Japanese media, Japanese people, and eventually the government to know about this opinion. And that's why I work, thanks to people, thanks to the Japanese staff at Gogo Nihon that helped me to translate the article. I translated the article in Japanese, and also it got really, it got shared a lot, and I got a lot of support from Japanese people, which is very good to know, because most of the Japanese people, they agree with the fact that it's not fair what international students are experiencing right now, that if international students follow the procedure, they should follow the measures to keep the spread of coronavirus low, they should be entered Japan. They agree on that. And when they know about the situation, they're just so surprised, because they had no idea that that's happening. They think that every country in the world is not letting international students happen. It is not letting international students to come. But it's only Japan, and of course Australia and New Zealand. But Australia and New Zealand, they're close to everyone, so they don't make differentiation about, oh, you are an athlete, you can come, or you are Japanese, you can come, or but if you are international students, even if you have a visa, you cannot come. That's very different. So I think it's important that we also write those things in Japanese. And thanks to the article, and most importantly, thanks to the student stories that many international students have submitted to the link that Gogo Nihon provided. Basically, we ask to fill a form where the students could write what was their situation, what would happen if they cannot enter in Japan this April, and so on. Thanks to that, we could speak with a journalist from the Yomiuri Shimbun, which is one of the largest newspaper in Japan. Again, a Japanese newspaper, so these news are reaching decision maker, and we can use this news to pressure the government. Even though it's not easy, it's still something that will impact at some point. And this article was published just a few days ago, the 17th of April, and basically is about the entrance to Japan, the opening of the Japanese border, basically for foreign students. And it focuses in a few points. First, how important are international students for Japan, especially from a human power point of view, cultural point of view, economy point of view, and how it's difficult their situation right now. There is an interview of one of the students that submit the story, where Victor, I think is his name, says that, yes, I'm studying online, waiting to enter Japan, but my classes are at 3 a.m. So my life is really difficult right now, because in order to study online, I have to basically wake up for 4 hours and study for 4 hours from 3 a.m. So this is really something not sustainable. Also, they show here how teachers are also losing their jobs. There are teachers losing their job, losing their salary, so it's a very difficult situation. And then ends up with some worries from universities that they feel that Japan will lose its attractiveness. People will lose trust on Japan if things will not change soon, if Japan doesn't communicate a plan for international students to enter the country. So this, I think, is a very powerful article. I was interviewed by the journalist that wrote this article 2 weeks ago. I sent to them all the stories that we received. We translate the story in Japanese to make it easier for them to incorporate. We help setting up the interviews that they had with the students, and then they report a bit here of what the interview was about. So I think I feel that moving in this direction, we may not be able to make to get a change right away, but if all of us together, we are in this together, can raise awareness, can try to lobby the government to let them understand how important are international students and how much all of us want to follow the measures to avoid the spread of coronavirus. We're really, really serious about it. I think if we all communicate this, we will get some results, hopefully sooner rather than later. This is the end for this video. So again, for the future videos, please let me know what are your thoughts. What would you like me to focus on for the next videos? And if there is any particular article, any particular activity or petition that you want to share, please also let me know and I can include in the next video. Really, really thank you very much for watching. Please remember to subscribe. It's a new channel, so if you want to get, I think, the next video update, I think you really have to subscribe because the algorithm won't really show many videos from my new channel. So please subscribe, so whenever I upload the next video, which will be soon, you will be alerted, and I will do my best to give you relevant updates, and really hopefully we get good news soon. Thank you very much.